Welcome, everybody, to the Monday night edition of Rock Solid Sports, sponsored by Fieldhouse Social, located at 2525 University Commons Way for their support. Serving American craft food, beer, and cocktails, a 21-foot digital big screen TV indoors, and plenty more TVs throughout the restaurant and a back patio. Open at 11 a.m. Wednesdays through Sundays, and open at 4 p.m. on Mondays and Tuesdays. I'm here at Fieldhouse Social. I'm your host, Tucker Harlan, here at Fieldhouse Social. We got Chloe Levering back in studio. We got Gabriel Daniel on StreamYard. We had some technical difficulties, but we powered through. We're here at Fieldhouse right now. It looks like LSU and Wake Forest are about to get underway on ESPN for what is the 1-0 game in the College World Series. Both of these teams won their first game in the College World Series. And to do so, LSU went through Tennessee on Saturday. We'll start with this game because Tennessee has had, we'll just call it a down and up World Series because that's kind of how it's been so far. They lost 6-3 against LSU on Saturday. And my take on this game is that, Paul Skeens is just an absolute animal. He's the best pitcher in college baseball, and there was just no getting through him. Obviously, Tennessee, as the game progressed, they hit some runs, got some runs in later in the game, like maybe in the eighth inning or so. But there was just no coming back against that team, and it similar to what happened down there in Baton Rouge this year. It was a game in which it really wasn't the top of the order. None of the Dylan Cruzes, the Tommy Whites of the world hurt Tennessee. It was the bottom of the order for LSU. Guys like Jordan Thompson, Braden Jobert, Gavin Dugas, they all really hurt the Vols. What did you guys think about this game? Saturday rather?
Yeah, we kind of all knew heading into it was going to be a tough one for Tennessee to win, and you just saw the talent that LSU has on display. Preseason #1 team. We all knew it was going to be a fight. We saw what they could do when we went down to Baton Rouge. There was just a lot, and talk about Skeens. It's just really hard to get consistent hitting when you're already an inconsistent offense. When he's just dotting 100-mile-per-hour fastballs right down, and you just can't get them. So I mean, it was tough. I wasn't really expecting a win from Tennessee, if I'm being honest. I mean, LSU has just been such a good team this year, and it was going to be really hard to adjust, especially with Skeens out there. I think that's the big factor in that one. And I think everyone saw that, just how good he was. I mean, the guy's changeup is 88. I mean, it's just wild what he can do. So it's Tennessee, when you already have the inconsistent hitting, it's going to be tough to really catch up to those pitches. I think, late in that game, we did see them start to get going a little bit. We were able to get Skeens out there, get a couple hits on him, and then, kind of made do with that, got it a little bit close, but, it couldn't really follow through with that. So it was about as expected, but, still disappointing.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with all those things you guys said. Gabriel said we saw what LSU could do when we played them in the regular season, which is true. But of course, Tennessee did come out and win one of those games. So there's always hope there, even though LSU is I think we can pretty much agree, probably the best team in college right now. But Tennessee also, came out and won one of those games down in Baton Rouge. So there is still that chance there. But when Tennessee, wasn't able to get going until kind of in the end there, which was exciting, don't get me wrong. But, it was just too late at that point. So Tennessee coming off a win, which we'll talk about a little later in the show. I mean, if Tennessee gets hot, then there's no telling what they'll do. But, yeah, we'll just have to see. LSU's a great team and, has the best pitcher in college baseball. So definitely I mean, definitely exciting though, considering what happened today. So.
Yeah, and that was what I was going to mention next, Chloe. Tennessee beat Stanford today 6-4, got down 4-0 in this game, had to yank Chase Dolander pretty early, but Chase Burns came in, was spectacular. Tennessee obviously managed to put up 6 runs. They had 13 hits in this game, no homers whatsoever. And Gabriel, I specifically want to go to you here because I believe it was you last week on our show when we were talking about the Southern Miss game that was supposed to be happening while we were on air, but it of course didn't. You said you needed to see more consistent hitting from this Tennessee team. And I agree with you. We did need to see more consistent hitting from Tennessee, but we definitely saw it today.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you look at where they did most of their damage. It was a lot of, singles that they were hitting, and they were just kind of building on top of that, especially, later in the game. I think early in the game, they were still getting those hits, but they weren't exactly able to put it together. But this was a little different where, they got those hits and then, it just kind of fell apart. But later they made up for that. So I think, it was definitely a good sign to see because you had I think it was like 3 straight hits and they were really able to capitalize on that, and then you saw kind of the bigger blast come. I think it was into the 6th when Blake Burke got the first extra bases hit of the game for Tennessee. So those came later, and it's funny to see that from Tennessee team where we mainly think of just big power hits breaking through. This one was a lot more consistent, working it. So I think it was good to see. Now, can there be a marriage between the two? Right, that's what I'd like to see for a complete game, and I think we saw that for the most part this game. But more consistently going through, whether you play LSU or Wake Forest next, that's what you're going to need to see. You're going to need to see the marriage of the two things, get some singles and then the bigger hits. But very good sign for Tennessee, just showing that they're able to do that. Mario Huna had a really good game. I think he got 3 hits in that one, and then, of course, you talked about it. What Chase Burns was able to do is what I really think put them in a good spot there after, Chase Dolander struggled early, but Burns was just a master class from him today. And, the decision to put him into the bullpen really kind of saved the season for Tennessee, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. And this game was definitely exciting to watch, especially Tennessee coming back from that 4-0 lead that Stanford had there. But then it was just so obvious that Stanford obviously, of course, had their pitching troubles and went through. Was it 3 pitchers or it was 3, right?
Yeah, I think it was somewhere in that vicinity. At least
Okay,
3,
it was like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
They had 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. They had 3 pitching changes, so it was like a lot for them. And then when Tennessee, can rely on has a pitcher to rely on, such as Chase Burns, it was just easy for him to come out there and basically won us the game. I mean, it wasn't all him, of course. There was also Stanford didn't have much pitching to rely on there. So it was just all really exciting to see, and definitely great to see Tennessee come back from that 4-0 deficit. And yeah, this team, I'm really excited. And I mean, the comparison that we've been making all season for Tennessee to have a season that starts out, no one really guesses for them to go to the College World Series, and then they do, and they still have a chance. They're still in it, so it's just super exciting. And yeah, it was exciting to watch that game today. Great weather in Omaha, unlike the flooding that's happened in Knoxville.
It's been pretty rough around here. I mean, when I was driving back here to Knoxville today, on and off rain, and it looks like it wants to rain a little more outside right now. But back to the game, Chloe, you mentioned Chase Burns. I think having that experience as a starter allows him to go more innings than most relievers because, when you have that experience, you can be a little bit more fiery out of the bullpen, right, as a reliever, and you're not expected to go as long necessarily. And Chase Burns, he was able to do that today. He didn't have quite the pressure of being a starter. And, I think it got to Dolander for a bit. And it's really unfortunate for Dolander because I think Tennessee they had one fielding error in that first inning, and it really blew up that first stretch there for Dolander and wasn't really able to finish on a good note at all. And then one other thing I wanted to mention, too, is that last time Tennessee was in the College World Series, and even last year as well, and you could make an argument for this year, too, they've been a home run heavy offense. Everybody that is a fan of a team that's been to Omaha consistently. They've said Tennessee's flaw is that they are a home run reliant team, right? That Omaha ballpark, it is massive. It is going to hold in anything that you would consider a home run here in Lindsey Nelson Stadium. It's just a routine fly ball out there. Tennessee got around that today, and I think that was something very impressive. At the beginning of the game, I really started having flashbacks to that Texas game 2 years ago, but they were able to get around it today.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a Tennessee thing, fall down, 4-0 early, right? And, when you really shouldn't have, and then, but you immediately just start making the comeback. And it's, it just shows you what this team is. They like playing with their backs to the wall. And I think that's the one positive you can take away for the current situation they're in. They got a lot of games to win. It's going to be a tough road because, we talked about it. You're either playing LSU or Wake Forest. You're not exactly giddy about either matchup with the elimination game they have to face. This team has showed time and time again that they enjoy it when the pressure's on them. I mean, that's how it's been all season for them pretty much since the disappointing start. So I think that's the one good thing you take away from it is this is a team that's got experience. If they fall behind playing from behind, you don't love that being your experience, but it is what it is. And they've shown that they can step up in big moments. And again, they love playing with their back to the wall, and they love kind of proving people wrong. That's kind of the identity of this team right now, I would say. So I think that's the one positive you see. Obviously coming from the win, but coming from the LSU game two. Just seeing them be able to come back from that, and I think that's just a great sign.
Yeah, going off of that, this team especially has like those moments, especially in the postseason that I've seen where it'll be like just so many like clutch moments, like back what Gabriel was saying, playing under pressure. They're so they get I don't want to say they get so lucky or they're so well at that. I don't know which one it is, but like today and can't remember what inning, 2 outs, and they got a lot of plays there at right at the end. Well, wasn't really at the end. It was like most of the inning was while they were on 2 outs. So they get a lot of stuff done when they need to, and I hope that continues into this College World Series.
Yeah, now we got to take a look at a bit of the rest of the field here, right? We know LSU and Wake Forest are playing right now. Wake Forest, the number one team in the country. They have been for a while. LSU held that number one spot for a good bit in the year. They slipped down to number 5 just due to some conference struggles later in the season. So this is going to be a fun one because you got the only two teams that were ranked number one at any point this season going at it right now with each other. So you have this game. On the other side of the bracket, much to my surprise, Virginia was the first team out of this tournament. I thought they would have a bit of a better time here, but
all kinds of issues today. So it looks like we're back. Are you guys back? The power blinked here. So okay.
Oh yeah,
okay.
I think
we're having all kinds of issues. That's what I was saying. The power blinked, and we had to wait for the Wi-Fi to come back on. So it's still kind of.
I was talking just fine, but I think we did have a flicker from a TV here over at Fieldhouse. I think the weather outside is turning a little grim.
Yeah, I mean, it was bad. It's bad. It was bad here in Nashville. We had it rolled through, and we had a pretty severe storm. It's not been seems like most of Tennessee is getting hit by some pretty severe stuff right now.
Yeah, but back to the field, I guess. I mean, I don't know if we're good over there on the station right now, but I'll just keep talking anyway. The rest of the field, Oral Roberts, they had a real thriller with Florida yesterday. They ended up losing that game 6-5. And you know what's crazy about this tournament right now, Gabriel, is that outside of Tennessee's 2 games, every game has been a one-score game. Mm-hmm. There has been some incredible baseball played at the beginning of this thing.
I mean, and that's exactly what you want to see, right? I mean, it's just great as a fan coming in and seeing that. You're not really expecting which team is going to come out with a win, going down to the line, and that's just the best thing in all of sports to see is just competitive game after competitive game. And we saw it, we've seen it with Oral Roberts and TCU, maybe more scrappier teams that we didn't expect to be here, but hey, they're showing that they deserve to be here, and they're showing just exactly how good that they can be. I'll tell you what, that Florida Oral Roberts game, that was a real fun game to watch. And it seems like Oral Roberts is always getting into these games where it's really close going down the line. They're making plays and the other team's making plays. But yeah, I mean, it's great to see. There's nothing more fun than competitive games in postseason play.
Oh, geez, I was muted.
Um, my
We're
bad.
hav-
I saw we lost Chloe again, so I
yeah,
didn't know what was
we're,
going on.
we're having a tough time over here. I think we had some power issues over there at the station. But, back to what I was saying, you've had TCU lose a real thriller of a game to open up the tournament against Oral Roberts. And TCU, they came in and they got through a good Virginia team. And Chloe, do we have you back?
Yes, I'm back. You've lost me twice, so I've been talking to the people listening in their cars, and you guys will talk to the people listening on StreamYard, I guess.
Gosh, this is brutal.
Making it work. We're
Absolutely
making it
brutal.
work.
We're trying. We're trying.
Go ahead. I think I'm back for good now.
I hope you're back for
I
good.
hope so.
This is tough. Well, what I was talking about is we've got all of these teams that. What I was telling Gabriel, Chloe, is that every game outside of Tennessee's games in this tournament has been a one-run game, which is pretty impressive. A lot of great baseball being played so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I was kind of saying, I guess to myself or anyone else who was tuned in on terrestrial radio there, I was saying, any team, whichever team, I mean, it's not even like I'm thinking, oh, I hope Wake Forest wins or I hope LSU wins, because whichever team wins, like Wake Forest, if they can beat LSU, it's going to be very hard, and LSU in itself is going to be very hard to beat as well. So it's not like I want to pick one, because either one, it's like top notch. What we're gonna have to go out there and play against.
Yeah, and that's another question I was going to ask is if you're Tennessee, which of these teams do you want to see? Because you've already seen Paul Skeens pitch for LSU, so you feel a little bit better about that one as long as Drew Beam can maintain some form of consistency, which, by the way, I will take Drew Beam over any other Sunday guy that is going to throw in this tournament right now just because we know what he can do. He's been a main staple for this team on Sundays, and he's probably one of the more consistent guys. I mean, people would kill to have him on Fridays. That's the thing with Drew Beam. So I feel like he matches up well against either one of these teams. It's just you're going to have to see one of these two teams again. So if you were to see one of these teams twice in a row, which one would you rather see twice in a row?
Man, it's a tough one because it's really not like you're losing much. I guess I would say you go with what we've seen so far, and say LSU. Just hope that you don't really have to see Skeens again, and you get the win and kind of the known evil, right? But even when saying that, I mean LSU is going to have like two of the top 5 picks in the draft, with Dylan Cruz plus Skeens. So it's really not. We lost Chloe again. I think it's
Okay.
really not. It's really not. You're really just. It's a pick your poison scenario, right? It's like just so difficult. As you said, both teams been in the number one spot this year. The only two teams have been in the number one spot this year. So I'd say LSU. It's a very tentative thing because we saw what they can do against this team, and maybe I'm picking something that kills us, but I don't know. I don't think there's a right answer to this question, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know where to go with this one. I think that LSU. If Tennessee doesn't have to see Skeens again, then great. That's a matchup that I think Tennessee takes every day of the week. But Wake Forest is going to be tough. That batting order stuff. LSU's is too. So I mean, a Skeens-less LSU, I think, is what we would best hope for. And speaking of which, that game, I believe, has just gone into the middle of the second inning. No score yet in that game. So that's what we have right now for you in college baseball. How do I want to do this? Chloe, if you can hear us, we're going to take a break now, and we'll come back on the other side of the break with some college football talk right here on 90.3 The Rock, UT's College of Rock. Welcome back to the Monday night edition of Rock Solid Sports. Sorry, we're a little all over the place right now. Sponsored by Fieldhouse Social, located at 2525 University Commons Way, for their support. American Craft Food, Beer and Cocktails, a 21-foot digital big screen TV indoors, and plenty more TVs throughout the restaurant and a back patio. Open at 11 a.m. Wednesdays through Sundays, and open at 4 p.m. on Mondays and Tuesdays. Um, I'm your host, Tucker Harlan, with Gabriel Daniel. We are having some technical difficulties down there at the station. I think we had a power surge or something down there, and the Wi-Fi is out. So we're just gonna keep talking on the stream, just see what happens here, and yeah, hopefully we'll get through this together. Right now, LSU and Wake Forest are playing on the TVs in here. It's in a commercial break. I believe it's still scoreless in the middle of the second inning, and yeah, so